Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Money Down Pod, the Week 15 recap and the Week 16 preview of the NFL. I am Kayvon Izami. That is Sean White. Thank you for tuning in. Happy holidays to every single one of you. Thank you for everyone that's been with us from the beginning, and thank you for everyone that is joining us whenever you have. We appreciate you. We're heading into a new year. I know it feels like a lot of the stuff is still the same because COVID is just still so strong, but we always try and find happiness and fun and through sports. That is how me and Sean do it, and I'm sure everyone that listens, that's how you guys do it as well. So we appreciate you guys so much. Sean, how are you doing, my man?
Doing great. And like I said on the college football show, if you don't watch the college when you're an NFL person, I'm real happy for these holidays coming up. These games are going to be great. And if you watched on both, then hey, happy holidays to you a second time. I'm really excited to get into this. We got a recap last week. We're doing a combined show this week just because of Christmas. Just because I don't want to have to, we're not going to be able to record two different ones. We're just going to combine them. Plus the preview this week. It's really just two big games. Really, that the divisional games between the Cowboys of Washington and then the Buffalo Bills and the Patriots are kind of the two main ones going on. It's a lot of big spreads. We'll obviously tweet our picks out. So if you're going to follow us at Money Down Pod. We'll tweet our favorite picks out before the game starts, so you can get your bets in. And that's how we're going to handle this week with Christmas going on and everything.
No doubt. And seriously, once again, we thank you guys. We have some really big things coming in the works here moving forward with this show. So stick along with us. We appreciate it. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Again, as we always say, we will bring those up. So, Sean, I think there's two storylines, in my opinion, that are massive after this week. One, what happened with the Bucs? More importantly, because to me, the loss to the Saints isn't that big of a deal. It's what happened in the loss that is the big deal. And then the second thing is what's happening to the Arizona Cardinals. So let's start with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look, the reason why I say the loss isn't that big of a deal to me is because I understand it's crazy with Brady, but some teams just have advantages over other teams. Look, some style of plays just have advantages over other style of plays. And it's shocking because it's Brady, but this Bucs team, they just have Brady's number. They just have Brady's number. But in the most important game when they faced off, Brady won. So the regular season, that was, of course, I'm alluding to the playoff game last year. The reason why they won is because they turned the ball over and the Bucs didn't. The Bucs always turn the ball over against the Saints, credit to their defense, and that's always been the issue. Their O-line's not able to hold up against that pass rush, and Brady is a disaster when he doesn't get pressure. He's a disaster. He's a average to below average quarterback when his O-line doesn't protect him. That's just facts, right? The game doesn't bother me because I hear all these people saying, man, people are going to, this is the NFL. You cheat. You take things from other teams. Guys, if other teams could emulate what the Saints do to the Bucs, they would have already done it. Okay, this has been happening for 2 years now. This isn't like the first time. This has happened 2 years now. They can't emulate it because you don't have the same players the Saints do. It's a different type of. It's just different when you don't have the players than the way that the Saints go about it. So I'm not worried about this Bucs team in terms of that. What I'm worried about is the injuries. And more importantly, the injuries to Chris Godwin and Leonard Fournette, which you could argue are Brady's two biggest weapons because of the safety net that they provide to him other than Gronk. Chris Godwin is truly Brady's go-to security blanket. Third and short, you're looking at Chris Godwin, you're looking at Gronk. Leonard Fournette provides so much protection for him in the pass game and so much to Brady for the dump off. You lose those two guys, Gio Bernard is still out. That is what I'm worried about moving forward to the Bucs. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think we should be worried about the game as well, or are you just focused on the injuries too?
No, I'm not worried about the game because the point you made was absolutely perfect. No one has the Saints personnel on defense to be able to do that. Actually, the team that has the Saints personnel on defense to do it is the Bucs. That's the team that they most mimic. Their defenses are very similar, if you ask me. because they have two linebackers that are rangy enough. Demario Davis gets no love. Demario Davis is one of the best outside linebackers in the league and has been for about 4 years now. Everyone always talks about Cam Jordan and Lattimore and the safety play back there with Marcus Williams. Demario Davis is such a beast out in the middle of the field. The thing they do so well with the Bucs is they get that front four pressure while also not allowing them to run on them. But then the corner play for the Saints is just better than what the Bucs usually have because Lattimore is a better corner, and now they have a Debo out there that can play. They just have the perfect personnel to match up with what Brady and the Bucs like to do. So I'm not necessarily concerned about the Bucs offense being slowed by another team because it's not like how you slow down a Patrick Mahomes by playing two high safeties, even though Mahomes has proven he can move down the field like that now. It's not the same thing. You have to have the specific personnel the Saints have, and nobody else really has it except for the Bucs on defense.
Agreed.
Moving forward, the injuries, though, is where you make the good point. I believe Fournette will be back for the playoffs, is what they're saying.
Yes.
As a Jags fan, I did see him hurt that hamstring and then have issues coming back from it, though. Yep. So that does concern me a little bit because Fournette has become a huge, huge part of that offense now. They run with him. He's their third down back. They really put Rojo to the back burner. So they really are going to need him back to playoff form, and I think they're going to sit him the rest of the year, maybe even that first game if they're feeling confident, and get him back healthy. Where you're right, though, is the Godwin injury is a killer because Godwin is that one that breaks your back every time. Godwin's the one where you get him in 3rd and 6 or 7, and you cover Evans perfectly, and Gronk's covered up in the middle, and somehow Godwin's just snuck through, hit a perfect route, and beat 2 of your defenders for the first down. Yeah. Godwin's that safety blanket. What the Buccaneers are going to need to overcome that, they're going to need a healthy Antonio Brown is what they're going to need. AB is going to have to come back from whatever injury has kept him out for so long and then the suspension. He's going to have to come back and play at a super high level, a way higher level than I'm sure him or Brady or Arians thought he would need to play. He's going to have to come back and fill some massive shoes because Godwin's basically the younger version of him at this point.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough ask, but that's what concerns me the most is making sure you replace Godwin with an AB that's engaged and ready to go. If they can do that, I think they still have a shot. Not as great of a shot, but maybe a -5%. If AB does not come back like that, you're looking at about a 75% of the Bucs team that you thought you were getting in the playoffs.
No doubt about it. Your point on Godwin's huge. I honestly think if you could, stick some truth serum into Brady's arm and, just get the full truth out of him and say, what is one player that you just feel like you cannot lose? Other than Gronk, I think he might say Godwin because of everything you just said. Now, with that being said, I still don't worry that much about the Bucs because of this reason. As long as their O-line is upright, we have seen Brady win with way less talent. Like, that's why Jason Light has done such a good job with this team. If any other team loses a guy like Godwin and Fournette, they're done. They still have Mike Evans. They still have Antonio Brown. They still have Gronkowski. They still have Cameron Brate. They still have Ronald Jones, who's a decent running back. Like, they still have so many players that can step up where, again, the most important thing to Brady is being upright. And that's why the Saints are so tough because Cam Jordan is just able to dominate that offensive line somehow, along with guys, like you said, who can cover so well in the back end. Demario Davis can go sideline to sideline. Brady's main thing is if he can be upright, he will find a way to get AB and Gronk and these other guys the ball. So it's going to hurt them. It might hurt their chances of winning it all, but I still think that the Bucs are one of the scariest teams in the NFL as long as the O-line will get Brady, keep him upright. That's the main thing because they still have some really talented weapons. Now, obviously, Mike Evans is banged up too. It's not going to be as severe, but could be one of those lingering injuries we'll have to look forward to. But overall for the Bucs, it's going to be something we have to monitor. But you're right, man. AB, it's time to earn his money. Like I don't know how many teams would give him a big contract, but if he's looking for another contract in the future, I know he's reckless and the whole vaccine and all the things he's done. This is it. He could look like AB in Pittsburgh if he stays healthy. Brady could get that going with him.
Yeah, I do think this is a weird thing that happens to Brady often too. Brady for as great as he is, he catches a lot of breaks. let me kind of point this out to you. If they were to somehow go on and win this with AB kind of playing a big role like that, they could definitely get Goblet on the cheap next year coming off an ACL injury, which they would have never been able to keep him at this point without the ACL tear happening. I'm sure they'd rather have him for the run, obviously. And like we said, he's so important, but there's a good shot he stays because I don't know if he's going to get the money he thinks he deserves and probably actually does deserve because people are going to be scared to pay him off that ACL. So it's kind of strange. He might end up getting the tag again or either get a short 1-2 year prove it deal with him. And that would benefit Brady a ton too because he'd keep the whole band together there. So
that's a really, really good point. And one thing I'll add, and then we'll move on to the Cardinals here. We might not actually see the impact of these injuries until the playoffs because their last 3 games are the Panthers, the Jets, and the Panthers. I don't see them losing any of those games. Maybe they have some fluke performance to the Panthers. He's going to destroy the Jets. He always does. They're going to end up winning out, and we're all going to be sitting here like, oh, everything's okay because of the performance. Like, they still could get the number 1 seed because of the teams that they have down the stretch here. So it's not going to be a big deal right now, but when we get to the playoffs, that's when we're going to have to see how much these injuries really impact moving forward. Shawn, I want to start you off with this topic, and that's the Cardinals, man. For 2 years in a row now, we are seeing the Arizona Cardinals take a full 180 and just boom, out of nowhere. I mean, we were talking a couple weeks ago about how this team is so well put together that they can win without Kyler, that they can win without D-Hop at times. And now we see them not just lose to the Lions, get smacked by the Lions. Your thoughts on what has happened with the Arizona Cardinals?
Yes, I have 3 big points I want to get to, and they're all kind of different reasons and recipes on why this might be happening. For one, the collapse last year, I felt was a lot to do with Kyler's health. That was how I wrote that off. And I actually believe in point 1 that has a lot to do with it right now. I think he's a little rusty, a little shaky. I don't think he's that full 100% Kyler where he can run and get away from people as good as he usually can. And I think it's making his throws be off because the time he's missed, I just don't feel he's as crisp as he normally is. His accuracy is a little shaky. So that's the first thing on Kyler. The second thing is on Cliff and his philosophy when it comes to playing. They like to throw, and they're going to throw no matter what. I was hoping they'd kind of pound it a little more with Connor and Edmonds and keep that going like they had been all year. I don't know. They got away from it, and just the way they run the air raid sometimes, especially in December, even though they were in a dome this time, that's a recipe for losses too. So that's one issue I think they're having as well, where their philosophy is just to throw. And if Kyler doesn't have his accuracy or his A game, and if you're playing out in the cold or in December, or even just playing a physical team like the Lions is playing all out to beat you, sometimes those throws can get you in trouble. That'll get you off the field quick, and your defense will tire out. The third thing is, I think Hop matters a lot more than we let on to it, even though they won those games earlier, even though Kyler has shown that he can do it without him sometimes. I think in December, Hop's important, man.
Yeah.
Hop's just that guy. I mean, I know Kirk makes plays from the slot and from the outside on some schemed up stuff because he's got the speed. AJ Green, while he's playing better, is just an older guy in general. Hop's that guy that we talked about with Godwin. On third down, it's going to Hop. He's a chain mover. It's going to be him every time. I think they actually miss him a lot more than we let on. And they're going to need him back if they make the playoffs to make any sort of run because they're looking real shaky right now. I think that team, they're going to need to have a complete reset, and their schedule is not getting any easier. They're going to have to fight to even this playoff race right now with how their schedule is looking.
Yeah, great points by you. All 3 are very, very good points. The one about the air raid's fascinating to me because one thing you're right, like super right about, we know the air raid does not work against physical teams. And the Lions, even though they lack talent, they are one of the most physical teams in the league just by nature, by the way they play. And it's weird to see Cliff go against what has worked so well because that's what I was praising Cliff all season for was that he kind of went away from the air raid and went to this nasty bully type team on defense as well. You know, their defense has been so good all year long. But what's happened these last 2 games is their defense has let up where they have gotten behind. And once Cliff gets behind, he drops everything he's done with the running game and he puts it all in Kyler's hands. And that's a recipe for disaster. And something else I'm monitoring now moving forward about Kyler is his body language. His body language is bad, bro. I don't know if you've noticed this. To me, it's not that big of a deal, but for still a young player like him, it rubs people the wrong way. It's different when you see Brady have bad body language because of the vet that he is. When you still see a young guy like that, even when they're winning sometimes, and he just gets really down on himself, it feels like, and his body language is rough. Now, I'm not saying that the team is gonna start hating Kyler or something like that. What body language is important about is when things are going bad, if you show bad body language, it makes it worse. That's the thing about body language. The body language can make things spiral down so much more than they really are. And these last 2 games, Kyler's body language has just been rough. Again, it's not that big of a deal, but it's something that I'm going to be watching moving forward.
Yeah, one thing about the body language that I like to bring up about it, I think Kyler does that in general. I think that's just him getting down on himself, and it's not just like at his teammates. Like, I would be a little concerned if it was every time somebody dropped a pass, it was like, oh, there this fucker goes. Like, he's just out there doing that. You know what I'm saying? But to me, Kyler does that when Kyler's off on a throw himself, even if it's like a slightly off. I think Kyler's more hard on himself than people will give him credit for. Yeah. And I think that's probably where that's coming from. So that doesn't concern me as much. I think it's more so of all right, let's get your head in the game. It's okay. You just missed the throw kind of thing. But I don't think the body language is going to hurt teammate wise, like some people would lead on to believe. I know that's like a big Aaron Rodgers thing because Rodgers can wear his heart. I mean, Brady was throwing iPads last game on Microsoft services. So it's just, I think that's more Kyler hard on himself.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, Brady, I think Taysom Hill, Taysom Hill didn't even get a handshake from Brady, bro. Like, when Brady wants to spiral down, bro, Brady will go. Like, he will go full on strength. And it's funny because this is a whole different topic that I don't want to get into right now. But if someone else did that and left the quarterback hanging at center field, oh my goodness, what the media would do. But that's Brady. Brady, there's numerous times where he hasn't gone shaking Nick Foles' hands or stuff like that. That's just how Brady is. That's why I put in there about Kyler as well, that I think it's more on himself. It's just something that you could avoid. That's what I'm saying, but I don't find it a big deal as well. The main issue to me is that this team has issues if they get down. If they get down early, Cliff goes away from all of the principles that have made them the best team up until the last couple of weeks, and he puts it all in Kyler's hands, and Kyler's still a young, even though he's amazing and electric, we forget sometimes that he's still a young quarterback, and he doesn't have D-Hop there. That's a problem. This team cannot afford to get down anymore. The Rams are surging, and they're dropping, and if they don't watch out, they could lose this division.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They definitely have a shot at losing the division. Another point I was going to make, too, with the body language thing, just to finish that conversation off, I think it also goes back to my first point. That body language thing might just be Kyler saying, hey, I'm not right. Like, that should have been an easy pass. Yeah, people don't give credit to these pro athletes on how in tune they are with their body. That could easily be like, oh, my leg, my ankle, that's a little tweaked right now. I just stepped back to plant my foot. It didn't plant exactly where I wanted. I missed that pass by a few inches. And then he's just upset with himself on that. That could also be something to do with it because it has happened these last 2 weeks coming back off this injury, and I just don't feel like he's fully right yet. What you're talking about with Cliff, though, is something that Cliff has got to go back to.
Yes.
You have 2 really good running backs. You already proved it. Edmonds and Connor know how to play. I know Edmonds is coming off the injury, but Connor, I mean, he's leading the league in touchdowns, I believe, even over Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
So rushing touchdowns, that is. Yeah. You've got to get him out there. You've got to hand him the ball at this point. He's shown that he can play. Hand him the ball, keep your game plan going, and then in the second half, you're still down pretty far. That's when you start riding Kyler hard. Don't start riding him in the second quarter when you get down pretty big. Run your game plan, get back in the game. That's something Cliff will learn. I have faith in Cliff to do that because, I mean, he's already shown improvement. we forget these two are young coaches, young quarterback. They're kind of a young group. They've got to make the playoffs this year, though. They really need to hold on to this division, or else that owner is going to be real upset with how the lead was this year.
No
so they're
doubt
going to need
about
to
it,
hold
man.
on.
No doubt. And look, he had such a good season. He probably did buy himself some time, but he's on a 1-year. He doesn't have a contract extension, and
Oh, if he gets to the playoffs, he's done for. I don't care what you say.
I agree. For sure, especially the way they started out, and that's why Cliff earlier in the year wasn't denying Oklahoma rumors, because he wanted a contract right then and there. He wanted that extension. The Cardinals aren't giving it to him. They got to get this fixed, man. I would not be shocked one bit if they lose to the Colts on Saturday night on Christmas, and then they're sitting there with 2 games to go, and it's panic time in Arizona. That's something we really have to monitor moving forward, because they're in the last their last 3 games, Colts, at the Cowboys, home to the Seahawks. It could very well come down to that last home game where they've got to win to figure things out and get in the playoffs or win the division or whatever, because the Rams are surging. Let's move on here to the Eagles, another team that is playing really well right now. And I wanted to talk about the Eagles because I want to give credit to Nick Sirianni. Look, Nick Sirianni got a lot of crap this season, especially in the beginning, for his mannerisms, for his press conference vibe, for his his analogies about a flower and how the flower needs to grow within the team and all this stuff. He got some crap for that. When I didn't really hate on him that much, because he's excited. You can tell this guy is excited to be a head coach. He is very excited to be a head coach. But now I got to give him credit. I wasn't hating on him, but I wasn't giving him credit. He deserves credit because, Shawn, he kind of has turned this team into the option. They kind of play the option, dude. It's kind of fascinating to see an NFL team. The way they went from not running the ball at all to being one of the most dangerous running games, with the way that they run Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, and the kind of RPO option routes that they're running. It's nuts. It's really interesting to see. And it makes them kind of a scary team in the playoffs, because defenses don't want to have to game plan and go up against that. I'm not saying they're going to go on some Super Bowl run or anything, but this team's for real. And when it comes to making a wild card spot, and a team like Minnesota, they better watch out and they better hold their own, because the Seahawks, the Eagles, they have a very light schedule moving forward. The Cowboys are the only team they have left, and that is a final game of the year where the Cowboys might have nothing to play for anymore if the Green Bay Packers locked up the 1 seed already. Very possible.
Yeah, the Eagles definitely got a shot at making it, and you're right. I was hard on Sirianni with those mannerisms. I'm not a big the way he says some stuff just rubs me the wrong way. But hey, I like the Urban Meyer hire to start with. I thought the Eagles were going to be a dumpster fire with it. It was complete opposite. I was totally wrong on that. You can't really judge a book by its cover on that, really. So props to him for actually changing it up and going to this run game scheme that they're running, because it works. And I do give him props too. When Gardner Minshew came in and played, he had him slinging it, man. Yeah. He switched his schemes up real quick, and he did what his players are good at. One thing I got to give credit to too is Goddard, man. Goddard is killing it at tight end these last few weeks, because when these run games are getting all this stuff, it's almost like an early Baltimore Ravens Lamar type offense is what it is. Yeah. It's the early Ravens offense where you came in and immediately you're like, this Mark Andrews guy, he's going to be pretty dominant because he's always open in the middle of the field thanks to these run actions. And what they've done is they've almost made Goddard their Mark Andrews. Yep. He's the safety valve. He's the first down getter. And then on top of that, they have a Devontae Smith who they might have missed on the Rager pick, and I hated that pick when they made it. I was a big Justin Jefferson
if they had Jefferson right now, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Well, I was a big Justin Jefferson guy. I thought the Jags should have taken him at 19. They took Chase on. I mean, I was a big Justin Jefferson guy coming in, and everybody can say that hindsight now, but truthfully, I was. You can, I'll find the text messages with Kayvon if you want me to.
No, I remember.
But no, Devontae Smith, they made the right pick with him. He's a baller out on the outside. Him and Hurts obviously have some sort of connection there too. So they have it set up well. They have the run action. They have the outside threat. They have a very good Goddard over the middle type threat. And for as bad as Rager can be sometimes, I mean, Rager can still get over the top of you. So they have a deep shot. Howie actually has built the team very well.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to keep trying to go after different quarterbacks or if they're going to finally land on Hurts as our guy. But Hurts definitely has some of that early Lamar Jackson vibes without the speed of Lamar. I think they're going to ride with him, maybe. And I could possibly see if the Jags or the Lions are up top and really need a lot of players, the Lions might more so want to edge, but I know the Jags need a lot of players. The Texans need a lot of players. I could see maybe Howie throwing that first round pick they have that's at the top, and then that Colts pick, and trying to move up to get one of these edge rushers because their defense is actually solid as well. Slay on the back end, they have the people they need there. They need a linebacker desperately, but they can draft one of those. Fletcher Cox is still a beast on the inside. They finally started using him back to his normal self the last 3 games where he was complaining at first. They get an edge rusher. They kind of have a nice team going. I kind of like what the Eagles are looking like in the future now.
Yeah, one person. See, I wasn't hard on Sirianni, but one person that I have been hard on is Howie Roseman. I mean, Howie Roseman might be my punching bag the last year in the media since we started this podcast. I have probably shit on him harder than any other person, and I don't say that with pride or anything. I don't like coming at anyone like that. And I'm still not going to give him credit. I think this is all Sirianni, but I do have to give him credit for hiring Sirianni. And again, this is one season. Sirianni could end up being a disaster, but it does look like he found someone, because one thing I wrote on my paper when you were talking, because I think it was the best point you made, this man adapts. He adapts. And you know how hard it is sometimes to find prideful head coaches in the NFL? They're one of 32 of them. This is in college too, that they believe their system is so right, they won't adapt. And it is the end-all, be-all downfall. And it's so refreshing sometimes to see a coach be able to say, you know what? This shit ain't working. I got to try something else. And he's adapting. And that is so key in a head coach, man. He adapted when he brought in Minshew. He adapted at the beginning of the season when shit wasn't working. And one thing else that you get, the best thing for an inaccurate quarterback, because Jalen Hurts is an inaccurate quarterback. He's getting a little bit better, but that man is inaccurate, is a big tight end like Dallas Goedert. It's what they've got with Mark Andrews. I think Lamar is more accurate than Jalen Hurts, but still, he has some issues there. And you're right about the point about Dallas Goedert is such a good point that some people just kind of look over because he's a tight end. Trading Zach Ertz opened the floodgates up for Dallas Goedert, and he looks like one of the best tight ends in the league with the way they're using them. The Eagles are a fascinating team moving forward.
Yeah, that is where I have to give Howie credit. I know you're real down on Howie because of how the Peterson Wentz situation went.
Yeah,
I think Peterson and Wentz both got a raw deal in that, and I do think Howie probably handled that a little wrong. I believe they might all land on their feet though. If Peterson does get a good head coaching job in the offseason, he's going to have about his pick of what he wants. I know he's making strong plays for either the Jags Raiders job. Yeah. If he feels like those are the two spots, he's going to land somewhere that he feels comfortable. Wentz is where he wants to be with his old offensive coordinator. Him and Reich love each other. And then you actually have Howie, who's actually been making some solid picks other than not taking Jefferson that one time. But, I mean, he did make the right move. He traded Ertz away. He got Devontae Smith. I think actually it might end up being one of the rare situations where it was a completely messed up scenario and all 3 people that were in the circle of it actually might end up working out. So it's a rare situation, but I think they all might land on their feet. I do give him credit, though, like you said, trading Ertz. Goddard looks like he's a top 5 tight end right now. And for all our fantasy listeners, when we get to do fantasy previews, if he keeps this up, he's going to be a top tight end target in drafts next year. He's someone to watch.
No doubt about it. I cannot wait for those fantasy previews to come around next year. One more talk on a team here, and that is my Atlanta Falcons. And then we can kind of go into the 49ers, another surging team real quick. And then we'll hit on a game in the week 16 that I think needs to be hit on that you brought up. I want to talk about the Falcons here to all my Falcons fans out there. A lot of heat going around Twitter after Sunday because essentially we are now out of it. Mathematically, we're not, but the season's over. Look, not only would we have to win all 3 games, which we could definitely win the Lions and the Saints game. Don't think we're going to go up to Buffalo. That's probably going to be a snowstorm and win that. Not only would we have to win all 3 of those games, but we don't have the head-to-head against Philly, and we don't have the head-to-head against the 49ers, and we also don't have the head-to-head against Washington. So we would need either Washington and Philly to both fall off at some point in these last 3 games, and then we'd have to win the rest. It's pretty much done. So there's a lot of blame going around because Falcons had five red zone appearances on Sunday, and they didn't get one single touchdown. Their touchdown came from outside the red zone. They had 5 red zone appearances on Sunday, and the question goes to who's to blame. Now, I'll be honest. A couple of those trips, 2 to be exact, were execution issues. There was one, Jaylen Mayfield, Arthur Smith schemed up a wide open Tarjay Sharp. He was wide open in the end zone, and Mayfield is such a bad player that Matt Ryan didn't have enough time to get it to him.
You can't be talking about Mr. Your quarterback won't get hit tweet, right?
Yes. Yes, I'm talking about that. If you draft me, then your quarterback's going to be safe. That guy should delete it. You should delete that tweet and never, ever bring it up again. It's a disaster. And I want to also, real quick, before I go deeper, a lot of hate for Kaleb McGary. Kaleb McGary is not that good. He is not that good. There's something that some people don't understand here. I would much rather have, look, obviously, if I could make a football team, I'd rather have a great offensive line in every position. But it's so much more important for a quarterback like Matt Ryan to have a better interior offensive line than outer offensive line. The reason that is because Matt Ryan needs to step up and throw it. For a guy like Cam Newton or Aaron Rodgers, it's more important to have that outer offensive line to be better because they can move around a little bit and they like to get outside of the pocket. That's not it for Matt Ryan. So Kaleb McGary's an issue, but if the interior with Jaylen Mayfield was better, it wouldn't be that big of an issue. Jaylen Mayfield is a disaster, but that's a whole nother story for a different day, all right? The main thing is it's come down to you cannot, it's an embarrassment to be in the red zone 5 times and have 13 total points. And it comes down to, again, a couple executions, but mainly play calling. We had 4th and 1, and we ran a freaking crack toss on 4th and 1 and had Russell Gage lined up one-on-one against Nick Bosa. And if he makes that block, then we get whoa, no shit, he's not going to make that block, and nor should he make that block. That's not on him. You can't line him up. The rare occasions this year that the Falcons have run QB sneaks, they've been amazing at it. But for some reason, I don't know if he's scared Matt Ryan's going to get hurt. I don't know what it is. He will not run a QB sneaks, and that is why the Falcons are bottom 5 in short yardage situations this year. They're bottom 5. They're a disaster of a team. And I have given Arthur Smith credit because the thing about it, Falcons fans, whether you guys don't like it or not, is we don't have talent. We don't have talent to win on talent alone. So when you don't have talent, you have to have good coaching to weed out the bad talent. And at times, Arthur Smith has really done that. And that's why we're a 6-8 football team, which I think is actually pretty decent for the little talent that we've had. But I'm starting to learn that Arthur Smith is not learning at certain occasions. And one of those occasions is short down distance in the red zone or out of the red zone. It doesn't matter. And that is a red flag to me. I don't know if it's because he doesn't want to learn. I don't know if because he doesn't think it's a problem, which I don't know how you couldn't, or what it is. But the fact that he is not adjusting the way he goes about short yardage performance is an issue. Now, I'm not standing up here saying fire Arthur Smith or anything like that because that's nonsense. He's a good football coach, but I'm worried that he's not adapting the right way in these short yardage performances. And it's a joke. It's a big, big problem, dude. You score 2 of those touchdowns. We're talking about we have a game in the fourth quarter. Well, a real good game in the fourth quarter. You can't go to the red zone 5 freaking times and not come away with more points than you did. It's a joke. Arthur Smith has to learn from the way he's calling these plays at the short line and distance.
Yeah, I agree. That crack toss was a terrible play call. I mean, that was failed from the start. So I'm going to unpack a lot of things you talked about here that we were talking, and then I'm probably going to give a controversial take for a lot of Falcons fans. So this is where we're going to start at.
Yeah.
of the fumble at the beginning of the game for the Niners, that's what you can't do in a game you're heavily favored in. And they handed the points to you and you didn't do it. I kind of thought it was over after that. That was your opportunity.
Same.
That was your opportunity to come in, establish the dominance, get Jimmy G in a game that he's behind in to try to tighten him up a little bit. That was the only way you're going to do it. Once it didn't happen, that was the floodgates opened up.
Agreed.
I got to give credit to the Niners. Niners actually, they're surging and they have a lot of players now that they're all back. They're going to be a problem in the playoffs. I feel like they're going to be the biggest problem for anybody as a wild card team, even over, say, the Rams if they're a wild card team. I like the Niners' chances better than the Rams. I think they're going to be the team that scares the most people to play in the first round. As far as Falcons stuff goes, Jaylen Mayfield, he's a bad player right now. He's going to have to get in the weight room or something. For as big as he is not strong at the point of attack. His hands are slow. I don't know if he thought he was going to play tackle, but he damn sure can't do that. Playing guard's really an issue for him. He's going to have to get in the weight room. I think he's given up the most sacks at his position on the year. I think it's 10 or 11, I believe.
Yep.
He's a problem. I know everybody wants to make fun of McGarry right now because Nick Bosa just destroyed him that one play. Yeah. But you're going against Nick Bosa. He's a top 2 edge player in the league. I don't know what more you expect him to do. He's definitely serviceable. It's just it's an issue he's having there, and I don't know if he's going to be a bust or not, but we're going to have to see if he comes out and can really improve on his hands at the point of attack because his hands are bad. He gets knocked down too much.
Bad.
The controversial point I want to make here is I know Arthur Smith's play calling is a big deal. You got to get in the end zone when you're in the red zone that much. I think they got to move on from Matt Ryan. Maybe not next year, but the year after, like the contract is. I don't think he fits Arthur Smith's system.
They will.
Arthur Smith rolls him out way too much to be Matt Ryan. It makes him look like the slowest player on the planet when they roll him out as much as they do.
And that's why, real quick, and I want you to keep going because I love it. That's why Matt Ryan has had more runs this year than his entire career because he rolls them out and then there's no one open and Matt Ryan just has to try and run with it.
So here's the issue. I watched the Jags play. They roll Trevor out a lot, and that's what Trevor's best at. He's best at throwing on the run and then getting upfield if he does. The problem is none of the Jags receivers can get open, like you said. So Trevor has to go and run and take 2, 3, 4 yards. The problem is when Trevor takes off, he's going to get up the field 4, 5, 6 yards, slide or take a hit and be fine. When Matt Ryan rolls out and the receivers can't get open, Matt Ryan's going to get you about 2 yards and slide down in fear because he don't want to get hit at his age. That's the difference there. Those 2, 3 yards make a big difference in that. And Arthur Smith's used to having Tannehill do this, and that's what Tannehill's good at. Yeah. And he'd roll him out constantly, roll him to the left, roll him to the right. He'd run him in all the time. And you had the fear of Derrick Henry back there and the fear of A.J. Brown getting open that you could deal with. The Falcons do not have those type of players. I just don't think they have the quarterback to execute the offense that he's looking to run. I actually think the Falcons are a prime time team in the first or second round to take a Kenny Pickett if he falls to it.
I was just about to say, if Arthur Smith can get his hands on Kenny Pickett, he will do it. The problem is, it seems like Kenny Pickett's getting so much steam. I don't know if he falls to where we're going to be.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's going to be like one of those take a Kenny Pickett, take a Matt Corral. If neither are there, you go to the second round and start to look at maybe the Malik Willises of the world or make a look at something like that. Because I just feel like he's going to try to develop a quarterback behind Matt Ryan after a year. You can't keep rolling Matt out. You either got to run the offense that your players are good at or you got to run your offense. And it seems like he's trying to mesh it, and it's not meshing.
Agreed.
The interior O-line is not good enough to protect Matt Ryan to play Matt Ryan's style of ball. But Matt Ryan is not athletic enough to roll out and play the rollout schemes that Arthur Smith wants to play. It's a bad fit for both of them right now, and something's going to have to give in the offseason here. It might be unpopular, but I'm telling you, they're going to have to draft a quarterback here and either groom him behind Matt Ryan or either just try to eat some of that contract and play the rookie. It's going to be one of the two, and I think Falcons fans are going to have to prepare for that because I think that's the only way this is going to get better because right now the creativity is not there in the red zone, and it feels like Arthur Smith has to have that quarterback run action to be able to call plays like he wants to get in the end zone.
I think it's a phenomenal point. And as a diehard Matt Ryan fan, as someone that thinks he's a Hall of Famer, I've kind of made my peace with that. And Falcons fans, you should as well. Go back and look at when Matt Ryan and this team's at the best. It's when the interior of the offensive line is so good. That's when we made the Super Bowl in 2016. That's when we made the championship game in 2012. That's why I'm not that worried about McGarry. Look, I mean, again, he's bad. He has issues. The problem is the interior. And I don't think you can fix that in one season because we don't have the resources to do it. What I mean by that, we don't have the cap space or the draft picks to do it right away. Yeah, you could get lucky and hit on a guy like Chris Lindstrom who could be great right away, but still and I'm saying for obviously a different position. I know Chris Lindstrom, but the problem is the likelihood of that happening isn't going to happen. I give Matt Ryan a lot of credit because he's had without Calvin Ridley, Pitts is a rookie, Russell Gage is number one. He's been out of the lineup. They still went 6-8, which is like Matt Ryan has played good football. The problem is, though, for us to be the best team under Arthur Smith, you're correct. And that's why I would be 1,000% okay with drafting Kenny Pickett. I worry about everyone else. Like, Matt Corral could do good in his system. I worry a little bit about Corral. I actually think Kenny Pickett could be a decent pro, especially if he gets a year under Matt Ryan. I would love that. I have come to peace with that idea because I think you're right. Unless he gets a Derrick Henry, which that's not happening, ladies and gentlemen. There's no Derrick Henry out there to get. He literally found the biggest guy he can get other than Derrick Henry and Cordero Patterson, and that's why he signed him. I mean, like,
and doesn't run him enough.
Yeah, and he doesn't. He gets Mike Davis in and shit like that, and Olsen and stuff. So he has issues, man, with how he calls plays, and I think you have a really good point about he just doesn't have the quarterback that fits him. And to be honest, man, Matt Ryan might want to move out too. Maybe Matt Ryan wants to go to the Steelers and play for the first time in his entire career a good defense. He's never had a good defense. Maybe he could go play for a good defense, Like, it might be that time. Again, I'd be sad, but if we want to work under Arthur Smith, something has to change.
Yeah. I think if Pickett's there, wherever you end up picking in the mid first is going to be somewhere around there. It looks like if Pickett's there, I think he pulled the trigger. There's a good shot he's gone before. And you guys are the one team y'all can't trade up. Y'all are already depleted as it is. You can't be giving up picks.
No.
So I think that's where it's going to be. You've got a lot of issues you need to fix. Smith's done a good job of getting you wins without a lot of talent.
Yeah.
You've just got so many issues you got to fix. You need a big-time receiver, like a bigger guy outside if Ridley comes back. You need a running back. You need some good O-line help, and you need a lot of help on defense.
Oh, a lot of help. The thing is, man, I actually really enjoy and like some of the pieces we have on the back end. Like, A.J. Terrell's a superstar. I actually like what we're seeing out of Jalen Hawkins. Like, I like some of the pieces that we have.
Richie Grant isn't bad either as a rookie.
Richie Grant's not bad. He's just having issues with the playbook, which is a little bit concerning. But overall, he's not a bad player. I like Darren Hall. Like, there's players that I actually really like back there. The problem is we don't have a pass rush. And when you don't have a pass rush, I don't give a damn how good those players are back there. They're going to get exposed. We've never had a pass rush. We've got to get a pass rush. That's the thing. The defense, if we can get a pass rush, I think that secondary could be really good. But the pass rush has come. But you're right, man. Look, Falcons fans, we'll keep talking about this when we get to the off seasons. You got to wake up your eyes because a quarterback is coming in. It's coming in.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
No
I completely agree. I like that. If we're going to go on to previewing a game, I think we have which game did you want to preview?
I want to preview the Patriots-Bills game.
Okay, we'll preview this game, and then we'll probably head on out of here for everybody to have a good Christmas. Okay. So that's what we'll do. Patriots-Bills, though, that's going to be the game. Patriots coming off a loss right here. First time Mac Jones has really, really struggled in that first half. And you got the Bills, who's right now out of the playoff picture. They're going to need to win. They've got to win to keep pace and get up in this playoff scenario. It's going to be something to watch. You're going to have to see Mac Jones throw more than 3 times this time. I have a funny feeling. So it's going to be good. It's going to be a good time to watch. I want to see the Bills continue running the ball like they did last week. Let's see them hand it to Singletary a few times because on a Belichick defense, you're not going to be able to throw all the time. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see the balanced attack from the Bills, and I want to see how Mac Jones responds after having his first kind of off game.
Agreed. And we both, by the way, called that off game on the last show we did. I said it's coming. Mac Jones is going to have a rookie game, and he looked really, really bad in that first half. He looked a little bit better in the second. I liked his poise. I liked how he fought back. This game is huge for Buffalo. If Buffalo doesn't win this game, bro, I just don't think you can call it their year. I just don't see how they can lose twice to the Patriots. They still might be able to sneak in the playoffs. I just don't think it matters, man. This game is everything for me for their confidence, for their just what they're going to have to do moving forward. And I want to see how Sean McDermott approaches it, because he said after that last game that you don't need to give so much praise to Bill Belichick. You better know for hell that Bill Belichick remembers that quote. And he's going to use that quote to amp up his team. For the Patriots, if they win this game, after that, they've got the Jaguars, and then they've got at the Dolphins. Now, they've
got a free win and then a tough game that they always end on.
Yes, exactly. So they're gonna beat the Jaguars, and then the Dolphins are a tough one. But if they win this game, you can pretty much lock them up for the division, definitely, and then possibly a chance to win the whole AFC, depending on what happens with the Chiefs moving forward. So, to me, the Patriots are going to be fine, because I think that they definitely beat the Jags and maybe even beat the Dolphins if they have to. But this is all about the Bills for me. I want to see the Bills go in and win this game, Shawn. I want to see the Bills do it. They have the talent. They have the coaching. They got to do it, man. They've got to do it.
Yeah, I hope that O-line can really protect. That's my one issue, is the Patriots are going to get pressure on you no matter what, whether it be blitzing, whether it be the front four. That O-line for the Bills, they struggle sometimes. And J.C. Jackson is going to be locked up on Diggs. Yeah. So it's going to be a tough night for the Bills passing offense for sure.
Yes.
I mean, the way the Colts beat the Patriots is they just punched them in the mouth physical. The Bills are not built like that at all. No. They do not have a team that can do that. So it's going to be a battle of two styles. It's going to be the Patriots pass defense, which is elite, versus a Bills passing offense, which is also elite. It's going to be something to watch. I can't wait to see it. Belichick's going to have them schemed up. I'm ready for the game. It's the game of the weekend, in my opinion.
No doubt. It's the game of the weekend. Huge implications on both sides, and I cannot wait to watch it. This was the Money Down Pod. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think we had some really good conversations. I am Kayvon Izami. That is Shawn White. Guys, give us a chance to go and please like and subscribe the show. Give us a comment. We appreciate every single one of you for tuning into the show. Happy holidays to all of you guys. Be safe out there. Enjoy your time off if you have some time off. Enjoy your time with the family. Hopefully you get to be with them all, and come back next week where we really get into some playoff pushes and then the playoffs as we go. So really look forward to it. Shawn, happy holidays to you and yours. I definitely will be texting you, obviously. And guys, make sure follow the Twitter account at Money Down Pod. We have both been on a heater the last couple of weeks. We're just going to keep churning out picks. So if you want to keep seeing those picks come, follow that account.
Yeah, I've been getting missing by like barely anything on a few of them too. I've been so close. I think Devo was like short by like 2 yards rushing.
Yeah.
I think James Robinson was short by like 5 or 6 on my props. So I've been so close. Kayvon's been like 6-1, like 5-2 last 2 weeks or something like that. So yeah, make sure you follow us. We'll get our bets out for it. Everyone have a Merry Christmas. We'll be back next week to talk about all the stuff that happened and to preview more games for the next week. We'll be back in our 3 pods. Everything will work out.
No doubt. And we will also be doing a college football big time pod next week where we're going to be talking about the college football playoff. So for all you college football fans, tune into that. There's also a show coming out that's in a couple hours here on the college football bowl game picks leading up to next Tuesday. Look out for that. Happy holidays to you and yours, and we will talk to you next week.